The weather here in Moscow in the past couple of days, not like past week, since the start of September actually, has been just atrocious. It's been too cold, too windy, too rainy. I do hope that you can hear me, but yeah, to say farewell to Moscow I just had to come here to the Red Square. Here's the construction that's going on. They had some kind of festival recently going on in here, and now they're disassembling the stage. So yeah, but yeah, that's Moscow, that's the heart of Russia. A heart with a corpse in the middle, which is funny. So this is the 0 kilometer from whence all the roads are starting in Russia, are calculated in Russia, and this is the main, oh my god, main gate that lead to the Red Square. That's how it looks like when you enter the Red Square. So there you can see the St. Basil's Cathedral and everything. This is the historical museum building, and this is, I don't know, the Hotna Square, I guess, one of the most famous and one of the most central places in Russia because it's located near the Red Square. This is a monument to Zhukov, General Zhukov, a hero during the Second World War. This is the Four Seasons Hotel, also a very important historical building, and here you can see, you know what you can see. So this here is a building of the Russian State Duma, very important body that basically decides how will the Russian people live, makes up the laws and stuff. The word Duma is not translated usually in the English language, but Duma basically means dumать, which is a verb, which basically means to think. But seeing their actions and considering what they have done in the past several decades, you really start to ponder if thinking is what's happening in there. Hi everyone, welcome to my last video here in Moscow. Yes, sorry for the clickbait, but it's totally necessary in this game called YouTube. As you can see, and as I have already said, this is my last video that I'll be recording in this setting here in Moscow. I'm leaving the city. I'm leaving Moscow because I feel now that this will be the best thing to do for me, and in this video I would just like to talk about my history with Moscow, why I'm leaving specifically, and what am I planning to do next. So, talking about my history with Moscow, I never actually quite liked Moscow growing up. I never found Moscow to be an enticing city to visit. Of course I knew about the history of Moscow and how important it is for Russia. It is undeniable. But I just always saw Moscow as a huge, bustling, fast city full of millions and millions of people, and it always kinda made me dread. So I never wanted to come here. And my first experience of visiting a huge city was actually St. Petersburg. I went there in 2013 to see a concert, and I fell in love with St. Petersburg. Then I wanted to study for my bachelor's degree in St. Petersburg. It never happened because, well, my family is not rich enough to pay for that, and I'm not smart enough to get government subsidies for education. So I studied back in my region, the Urals region, and then for my master's degree, I was actually being able to come back to St. Petersburg. But before that, a very important thing happened. During my last year of study for my bachelor's, the second semester of the last year, we had to do an undergraduate practice, and I was lucky enough to be able to do that in Moscow. So in 2013 I went to St. Petersburg for the first time and fell in love with it. In 2019, 6 years later, I went to Moscow for the first time to live and work here. And surprisingly enough for me, I fell in love with Moscow. It was so grand, it was so interesting, it was full of very smart people for me. I actually went through the undergraduate practice in a place that was located near the Red Square, so literally 1 minute walk to the Red Square in the heart of Moscow. And I loved it, I loved the place, I loved Moscow. I was walking here, exploring it, visiting all of these beautiful historic places. I was just in awe of Moscow, and I wanted to stay here, but then I decided to go for my bachelor's, and I applied to Moscow and to St. Petersburg, and I couldn't go to Moscow. I once again wasn't selected for subsidized studying, and once again paying for studies after my parents paid for my bachelor's degree for 4 years. It wasn't viable for my family. And in St. Petersburg, I was actually able now to study on a subsidized basis for my master's degree. So I went to St. Petersburg, and the second time I went there, I hated it. To be honest with you, didn't like it one bit. It was dark and gloomy, windy, very claustrophobic. After being in Moscow in the beginning of 2019, coming to St. Petersburg at the end of 2019, I was able to compare the two cities, and what I realized is that I loved the grandiosity, the spanness of Moscow, if that's even a word, you know, the wide streets, the huge distances, the multitude of places you could go to. St. Petersburg is much smaller city with much narrower streets, with much darker atmosphere, which I didn't quite like. So I was glad when the 5-letter disease came, because I was able to go back home to study remotely and to work remotely. And during my stay back at home, I was cherishing my memories of Moscow. I dreamt of returning here. And in February this year, I was actually able to come back here. I found a job and I came here, and I've been living here since the middle of February this year. And it truly was a very divine timing, if I can say that. Because, well, you know what happened at the end of February, and the atmosphere changed in Moscow. There was something in the air before that, but when that happened, Moscow to me instantly turned not even hostile, but a very cold and dreary place. I mean, it's my own understanding, of course. It's my personal feelings about the city. I'm not saying that it's actually like that here. No, people are walking around, especially in the summer. There were like a lot of tourists. It was very fun. People were eating out in restaurants, visiting museums, visiting concerts. There were festivals, etc. So I cannot say that it's all super dreary, Nazi-like, very strict and no fun allowed place. No. But for me, Moscow turned into such a place somewhat when the whole Ukraine thing started. And I was very much conflicted because I wanted to stay in Moscow, but then I kind of felt this presence of this very ugly atmosphere in the air. And also I've changed. I realize now, after 2 years of COVID, being back home in a small town, having access to nature, just like not being around so many people, I've realized how much I actually like living in smaller towns. Once again, being able to just go out in the woods, go out to see a lake, just walk around, not having the millions of people surrounding you, and how much I just like peace and quiet. And Moscow isn't about that. Moscow has like 12 million people. Maybe it's less officially, but unofficially it's like around 12 million people. Moscow is a very busy place with a lot of people, with a lot of stress. And what I realized, that living in Moscow, it's just you wake up, you go to work, you spend your 8-9 hours in the office, you go back home, you barely have any energy for anything else, you go to sleep, and you repeat. I'm living alone, so the weekends are for cleaning the house, doing the chores, cooking food for the next week, washing clothes, ironing clothes, just buying stuff, buying groceries. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's a cycle that you are doomed to repeat when you live in here. And the transportation, the commute back to work and back home, to work and home, it's so exhausting. The metro, the buses and stuff, of course, they're great and they're quite fast, but they are very exhausting, with always people surrounding you, cramped into this like little space. I mean, the space actually is huge, but there are so many people that you're like sardines in a can. So, not great. So why am I leaving Moscow? First of all, of course, my mental state. I realize now that I'm not happy being in here. I'm not happy living in Moscow. I don't see anything positive for myself in here. I walk on the streets of Moscow and I don't feel anything. I don't feel excitement. I don't feel fun. I don't feel energized. I don't feel inspired. I feel very tired in here. Second of all is my family issues. I do have some family issues with my parents, and I want to be able to be there for them, to help them resolve the issues. Third of all, money. I was able now, thankfully, to find a remote job, and living in Moscow is actually quite expensive. Even though this apartment is quite old, I still pay like a half of my salary to live in here. Then I also pay like 10%, 20% of my salary for transportation, for groceries, for utilities, because half of my salary is just rent. Then you also have utilities for everything, and the money that I'm left with are quite limited. The money that I'm left with, it's not enough to have like a super fun life here in Moscow. And now I've been able to find a remote job that will pay me as much as I'm earning here in Moscow, but I will be able to work from home, living in my small town, living back home with my parents, yes, but also don't have to pay for the apartment. I can buy food for cheaper, and I'm not stressed out with the commute, going to work, sitting in the office. I will be able to work from home and do also things around the house. Another thing why I'm living in Moscow is that I feel very alone in here. One of the reasons why I decided to start this channel is to fight the loneliness, because I do have friends from my high school here in Moscow, but I haven't met them since March. Just everyone's so busy, everyone like always at work, or just like very tired from work, so they cannot meet up. I did make friends in my last place of work, but now they're also kind of scattered. One of them went to Morocco for a contract job, another went to the south of Russia, the others are very busy as well, so it's not like we can meet up. And yes, I'm very lonely here, and back at home in the cities nearby to mine, I have a lot of friends, and it's not difficult to just go over and visit them with the remote work, because I can take my work with me and just go stay with them. And they're also like, they have the time, they can accommodate that, so it would be much more fun. And in general, I'm leaving Moscow with a little bit heavy heart, but I know that I can always come back here if I really want to. I'm not planning though. My plans are to leave Russia sometime in the future, because living in here, first of all, I never imagined myself living in Russia. That's why I speak English, I speak French, I speak Chinese. I lived in China for a year. If it weren't for COVID, I would have been in China right now, or maybe somewhere in the Southeast Asia. Never planned to live in Moscow, in Russia, never wanted. I've always wanted to leave, and now I'm working towards that, and to just save up money for my future endeavors, and to help out my family, and to help out my mental health. I'm now leaving Moscow. I'm thankful to the city for the opportunities that it gave me. I'm thankful to the city for the experiences that I got here. I'm thankful to the city that it inspired me to start my YouTube channel, and now I have people here, which is also great. But I'm ready to leave. Even though I'm going back home, it still feels like I'm going forward. And to everyone out there who's also stuck in the big cities, and maybe they want to go back home but they feel like it will be like a failure, a step back, etc., I would just want to say that there is no step backs in your life. You are always moving forward. You are always getting new experiences, new outlooks, new understanding about your life. You are always developing, and even if you have to go back geographically, mentally, emotionally, and personally, you are always moving forward. You are never stuck. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions for me, any comments, anything that you want to tell me, leave your comment, press like, subscribe. I do tarot readings, I do talking, I do all sorts of things, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!